んにちは。Hello.
I'm Keiko and I'm not.
I'm Mark Kubumatsu.
Inorganic filters are things like zinc oxide and
When you get a disease, what they love in Russia.
Bubble Radio.
Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to Bubble Radio. This is your host Kenan and today I'm going to be having a chat with a strong woman from Korea, Esther Beii, a competitive 52 kilo powerlifting athlete, coach and inspiration for many women trying to get into lifting. Esther, thank you for making the time to be on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
And I got to know you through a mutual friend of ours, and I see that you have a pretty big following on social media, and not only that, you have a big international following as well, maybe? I don't know, that's just my observation. But I mean, obviously you speak English and that helps it for people to, you know, reach you and stuff, but are there any other contributing reasons of why you have such a big international following? You think?
My following actually started internationally. Like I only just started developing my Korean following like in the last year or two while I was here.
Right.
So I've been abroad all this time in the States for 10 years, in Hong Kong for 6 years. So it makes sense just geographically that I have an international following. Yeah.
Right. And before we started recording this, you said that you were raised in the United States. Is that right?
Yeah. So now I have like this weird quasi accent of like Hong Kong English, American English, and then like my boyfriend's Australian, so I pick up a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Now it's like all over the place. But I grew up in America since I was 8. Graduated high school, moved to Hong Kong.
Right.
Spent 6 years there. Went to college, worked, and then now I'm back at home. Yeah.
Nice. What's a Hong Kong accent like?
People call it like a Hong Kong British accent.
Okay.
Yeah. But honestly, I don't even know I'm using it, but people will say I'm using it.
Oh, okay. You have just a mix of everything, right?
Yeah. People usually can't tell where I'm from. And I don't know if that's the thing.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, from my opinion, you don't sound very American at all.
Yeah. So it really depends on like who I spend the most time with.
Right.
My English these days is just over the phone with my boyfriend every single day, like an hour every day. So I'm definitely picking up more of the Aussie side of things.
Right. The good Australian accent.
The right way.
Love it. And obviously you came back to Korea. What is your reason of coming back to Korea?
Yeah, we touched on this before. So I did not plan for this at all. COVID happened, and it's actually been exactly 1 year since I moved to Korea. I had quit my job just then, and then I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go see my family for a month. And then that's when COVID really like started happening.
Right.
And I was like, wait, I should be with my family during these times. I'm going to stick around for a bit. And then that just extended for a year. I ended up, starting Strongirls and ended up settling down here. And my boyfriend's also moving here in like a week. So,
Whoa, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. So, were you lifting at the time of before you moved back to Korea, or what is take me through the timeline of how you started lifting?
Oh man. I guess like I got into fitness quite early on, and with a lot of Asian women, I think the biggest goal for even hitting the gym is weight loss, right?
Right.
A lot of Asian women start, okay, I want to start looking good, like sign up for a gym. I had that like period was pretty long for me before I got into lifting. So even after high school, like right when I graduated high school, I'm gonna go into college. So like, I gotta look good.
Yeah.
So I started hiring a personal trainer back then.
Nice.
But even then, it was just like very basic stuff.
Right.
Like using machines and like on the cardio machine for like 45 minutes.
Right.
Like, I would never do that.
Oh, how painful. Neither would I.
Yeah. So that period was quite long. And then flash forward to 2018. And that's when I had broken up with my like very long-term boyfriend.
Right.
As people call it, like breakup gains, right? I just started getting into like heavy lifting back then, but it was just like horrible form. Like it was just, I was just taking out the aggression onto the bar. And, deadlifting with a, cat back and quarter squatting and thinking, new PR. And that period was like end of 2018. And when I was deadlifting with a cat back, that's when I hurt my back.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I love the sport. I want to do it, but like if I keep doing this, I'm going to really, really hurt myself. So that's when I had graduated from college and moved back to Korea for a bit.
Yeah.
And found Traintrue, the powerlifting gym in Seoul.
Yeah.
And that's when I like started learning from the basics of powerlifting for 6 months. Like I had my coach with me. He trained with me every single day.
Right.
And I was like basically like their disciple. Yeah. Ever since then, I've never had any like lower back issues. So it's been really good. Yeah.
I mean, there's going back to what you said earlier on, there's something about breaking up with someone and you wanting to become like, I'm going to become the best version and I'm going to make him regret that he lost me. And I started lifting because of that reason too. So I totally understand. Yeah. And I don't know, when you injured your back, what was the injury and how long did that put you off training?
Funny enough, I just kept training because I was like, it's just my lower back. Didn't think it was serious at all. But it started flaring up when I actually started increasing the weight again 3 months later while I was training with my coach. Like when the intensity had gone up, the herniated disc, the bulging disc got worse.
Okay.
And then after my first competition in summer of 2019, that's when I had to just like take 2 months of just light training, doing a lot of like a shit ton of core work. Yeah.
Right.
And ever since then, like no lower back issues. So it's been really good. Yeah.
Now, like fixing a cat back, like a super rounded back, is really hard. How did you overcome that issue?
I actually just ended up switching to sumo.
Right. Okay.
That definitely put less pressure on my lower back. But I did end up, training conventional again for hypertrophy blocks last year. And trained only conventional for 3 months. And my back wasn't rounding then. So I think it's also just like building a stronger core, stronger lower back, and also your upper back. And just also like rebuilding from the lower weights.
Right.
Just letting go of that ego.
Yeah, that's very hard to do also because you, like even on social media, you want to, sometimes I get put off by, should I post this? It's really light. I don't know if people would enjoy looking at it, but I mean and things like that, there's definitely an ego attached to lifting like that as well. Yeah. And going back to COVID, how is the gym situation? Is everything almost back to normal or?
Not fully. I don't know when it will. Right, just now we had a 6-week lockdown for gyms. So gym closures for 6 weeks, and honestly, that's a long time, right?
Yeah, it is.
And as like with a lot of Asian countries, not a lot of people have the space or the luxury of having a home gym.
Yeah.
Because like in the States or like in Canada or something, everyone has a garage.
Yeah.
They can still have a garage gym, but here a lot of people don't have home gyms, so people were just not training for 6 weeks, and that was rough. But gyms are open again, but with restricted hours.
Right.
And I honestly think that's so stupid because gyms are supposed to close at 9 p.m. and it only like makes the gym more crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people get off work at the same time around 6 or 7, and then they crowd the space from that time till 9. So it's actually worse, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing is happening in Japan as well, especially in restaurants and stuff. They're cutting hours from 8 and they have to close everything by 8 o'clock. But then that means that, like I understand, trying to reduce the time where people could get infected, but, like that means that more people are going to, because if you're signing up for a gym, you're going to go,
Yeah, exactly.
So it is kind of like counterintuitive. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Because it's like COVID can still spread before 9.
Exactly. It doesn't care what time it is. Yeah. And what about competitions? Is that do you guys still have meets on or?
So last year in 2020, I signed up for the IPF Federation, hoping to, like I was very hopeful. I was like, okay, I'm going to compete in IPF Korea, go to Asia, like meet so many people like that. Did not happen. 2020 was just like absolutely no competitions at all.
Right.
And Traintrue, my gym, also hosts like a lot of local competitions as well. But their last one was a press-only competition in April 2020. So it's been a while.
So press only is what, like bench and
OHP. So like quasi, powerlifting competition.
Okay. All right. So it's pretty promising that in 2021 the meets will still be on and stuff.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I am signed up for a competition at the end of Feb.
Yeah, actually, so yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's happening. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I really don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Japan is also very conservative about having meets during this time too. But I think a whole year without it. And I think the association is having a very hard time just running the powerlifting sport. It's also they are hosting nationals in 1 week. Even we are actually under the state of emergency. Yeah.
That's insane. So you guys are going ahead.
Yeah, we're going ahead, but we changed the location to I think it's like almost like a private property where it supports powerlifting, and we're doing it there instead of like a public facility. So yeah, we're still going ahead, but I don't know. I think that's like the limit. We're crossing the limit of how much powerlifting association can take cancellation and stuff like that. It's very tricky.
Is the association/federation big in Japan?
There's only one. And that is connected to the IPF. So yeah, what about in Korea?
We have 2 federations actually, WPC and the IPF.
Okay.
But I'd say they're not too big. Like powerlifting is still very, very minor here.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know that you guys are big in bodybuilding.
Yeah. Like bodybuilding used to be like one of the government funded sports, whereas
That's crazy.
powerlifting is, well, not anymore, but
Yeah.
powerlifting is nowhere close. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't see many Korean powerlifters at international events. Is that because it's still like a minor sport there, or is there like a political reason?
Very minor. And the market's still so new that like people have this like, I don't know, like a lot of people are scared to compete in Korea. Like
even though they lift.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but because like Koreans / Asians, like, you know, like the meme where like A+ or nothing, you know. Like we're constantly trying to strive for excellence.
Yeah.
Like you don't think you're good enough. If you don't think you'll win, you won't even compete. And then with powerlifting, if you don't compete, like you'll never win.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so that's this paradox. Like I think a lot of people are still lifting, and I heard the IPF Korea has a lot of members actually associated, but when you actually go to the competitions, it's not a lot of people.
Right. No, because I've also personally come across people that are like, oh, I really want to compete in powerlifting, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's this meet in a few months, you should do it.
Yeah.
No, my total's not strong enough. And I'm like, why?
That's such an Asian thing.
It is. Like, just do it for fun. And they're like, no, I don't want to embarrass myself.
Like no one cares.
Exactly. And everybody's very supportive, right? At meets.
Yeah. I think that was like my first impression of the meet, like even the meet that I wrecked, the first one. Like everyone was so supportive there. Like backstage, no one's like, oh, like she's my competition. Like we're just like helping each other, like putting on like chalk for each other, like putting on baby powder for each other. Like it's very, very like supportive environment.
Yeah, a lot of people have a hard time understanding that. But also, can you please, I was scrolling through your Instagram and I came across your first meet post in 2019 in Hong Kong, which didn't go so well for you. Can you explain that?
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about it and then we just kind of went off.
Yeah, we're like, let's do this when we're recording.
First meet was 2019 summer. That was like, I had prepared for it since January 2019 because it was like my new year, new me goal of like, I'm going to compete this year.
Yeah.
So, I flew out from Korea to Hong Kong for the meet because I had a job interview lined up with the timing of the meet.
Yeah.
But I really, really messed up my weight cut. So I was trying to compete in the 53 kg class. And by the time I got to the meet, I was, I think like 53.6, like pretty over, right?
At the venue, which was how long ago before your weigh-ins was that?
I think like an hour. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
An hour before weigh-ins, and then they're like, okay, like it's okay, like you have some time. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Like I wish I had known that you can just go up a weight class.
Oh, you can't do that in Japan.
But with that federation, which was World Powerlifting,
okay,
you can. So like after, like I got sour candies from people, and then like when you suck on sour candy,
saliva,
right? so I was spitting. I was in the steam shower in that venue for like, I don't even know. Like I was just like so dizzy already because I was just trying to sweat it out and also spit at the same time. And it was a very small venue, so like everyone was watching me then too. like, like they all thought I was like freaking crazy. And then right before the meet started, like 30 minutes before squats, because the girls compete first, right? The lower girls, and they're like, actually, you can go up a weight class. I'm like,
No, you tell me that.
you could have told me that, like, like an hour ago. And then I ended up going into squats like completely like rattled, like
like stress.
Stressed, and like I ate, but then like because of all the sour candy, like you can't taste anything.
Oh no.
Your tongue gets like very like scratchy.
Yeah,
like
numb almost.
I need to eat this because I need the fuel, but then like I feel like throwing up. And then it was just horrible. And then because of all that stress, my lower back flared up again.
Oh no.
And I ended up, I think, letting go of my second and third attempts.
Whoa, okay.
My deadlift as well. Yeah. So it was pretty horrible. But ever since that experience, I guess for a lot of people, that they would just be like, okay, like that really burned me, so I'm never gonna compete again. But for me, it was like, I'm gonna come back stronger than ever.
There you go, that mentality.
Yeah, I had this like fire inside me, like I need to compete in the next meet and like redeem myself.
There we go.
Yeah.
And like, how? What was your water cup plan like going into the meet?
That then, for my first meet, I actually didn't do any sodium manipulation. It was just water loading.
Okay, so you water loaded like earlier on in the week, and
like starting 6 days out, I started water loading.
Okay.
So like imagine like in the flight too, like I was peeing.
Oh no, yeah.
But like I told you before, it ended up coinciding with my menstruation cycle, and I think I have a curse because it like happened so that during my second meet in Hong Kong, it also happened, coincided with my menstruation cycle. And I think this one too, the one that's coming up.
Oh no.
Also,
so lucky, yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm cursed.
It's like your body knows exactly when you're having the meet.
Exactly. So yeah, this meet, I'm on the safer side. Yeah, the first one just completely messed it up, I think. And yeah.
Did you stop drinking water like one day out, or how many hours out?
16 hours before.
16 hours before. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's how it's usually done, right? That just because of your menstrual. I didn't know that having like a menstrual cycle affected your weight so much. Is it during your menstrual cycle, or was it before that you gain weight?
Right before.
Right before.
So like actually during, you end up shedding the weight.
Right.
In my experience. But right before, like 3 days before your cycle, like that's when you're like fully bloated.
You're right.
You can feel it too, like your body's just holding on to that water.
Yeah.
Bloated as well.
Oh no.
Yeah. That was like that for me for my second meet. But so flash forward to my second meet, which was December 2019.
Okay.
Which was more successful than my first meet. But I ended up doing a pretty drastic cut for that one as well.
Okay.
And for me, the performance at the meet was also important. But after starting my job, I gained a lot of weight.
Right.
So I was around like 58 something. So like
okay.
well into the 58 kg class. Yeah. But I wanted to make it a goal for myself to cut that weight.
Right.
And so it was a big cut, and it wasn't very smart in terms of like the powerlifting performance of things. But it was like a dual goal for me, that meet.
Right.
Make weight into the 53 kg class. And even that morning, on the day of the meet, I was 700 grams over.
Okay.
I woke up. So I was like, okay, classic, like this is happening to me.
Yeah.
And I was on an Uber on my way to the meet, and just in the car, I was spinning into
Again, a crazy woman in my car.
Yeah, I was spinning, and I was like, okay, here we go again, sour candy. I had it already like prepared.
No. Right.
And the night before, I was in a sauna as well. So, and also sodium manipulation, everything. Like, so I knew the only way I can lose that weight was spinning.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, like for an hour, like I was so calm too. Like I was like, that's happened to me before, so I'm not gonna let this like ruin my mentality.
Right.
Just keep spitting. So like for an hour, I was spitting until the weigh-in, and I literally spat like 400 grams.
Whoa.
Yeah, like this much.
Right.
And then I have a picture. It's really gross. And then like peed a couple times while I was there, and I made weight 52.99. Like it was insane.
And how was your performance like during the second meet? Was it good or?
Squats did not go as well as I planned, but I ended up winning the women's overall, so I think it was pretty good. Yeah.
Good. And you know, as you mentioned, 400 grams of saliva. I have never like spat to make weight before, but I'm trying to, because I think I'll need to do that in 1 week time when I compete at nationals. But I'm trying to understand the feeling of like, because it gets harder to spit, right? Like as you do it, like what is the feeling like? Is your mouth like a desert, like where it's all dry, or what is it like?
No, you have to keep like sucking on sour candy. And
can it be like gum, or does it not work the same?
Be gum, but I think the sour, like more sour it is, it like helps.
Right.
More saliva.
Yeah.
The only like horrible thing is your tongue will be scratchy for like the next 2 days at least. But
I mean, sacrifices.
Honestly, a lot of powerlifters do it because I feel like it's one way to shed water without sacrificing your performance, if that makes sense. Like, because saunas like can really wreck someone.
Yeah, it's really
Relaxes them
a lot of
too
energy.
much. Yeah. But spitting, like as long as you have that like mindset, and I think also spitting into a cup really helps, because if you're spitting just into like a sink, you don't really know how much you spat, right? So you're like, oh, like I don't know like whether to keep going, but then if you see like the increment keep going up, okay, like this is like actually 200 grams, like it really helps, honestly.
Okay.
Do it. Like, you can do it.
I will try. I mean, it makes me feel better that you were able to cut, like 5 kilos, right?
Yeah, last cut was, I was averaging like 58, like low 58. And then I ended up making weight to 52.99.
But how long, like, how many weeks were you at when you were weighing 58?
58 was beginning of November, like November 1st.
Right, okay.
And then my meet was December 8th. So it was actually like 6 weeks.
Oh, that's pretty. So you did the dieting as well as the whole water, sodium manipulation. Do you think you could have cut more or no? Like not possible.
Definitely. I was like the maximum.
Okay. Oh, that's
After I ate, everything came back. At least up to 55, it just like shot up. very
right.
quickly.
Okay. Oh, that's a really really good insight for a lot of female lifters, I think, because you don't hear a lot about water cuts from female athletes. I hear a lot from male athletes where they're a lot bigger and it's probably not realistic for a little person like me. So I think it's definitely a
more
good insight.
difficult for us. Yeah.
Also, what? The reason why you decided not to move up a weight class on your second meet was because you wanted to make it like a challenge. Is that right?
Yeah, because I was so butthurt by the fact that I didn't make weight for last
Right.
competition. I was like, that's like one of my goals. Like, I want to kill the meet and also make weight. Yeah.
Okay.
And for my girls that I'm teaching, like when they're talking about, okay, like I can cut like 2 kg and then I'll be in the 47 class. I'm like, no, don't do it.
Yeah. Right. Especially for your first meet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I can proudly tell them that like they should not do that. Yeah.
Why do you think it's bad to do that on your first meet?
Because it's honestly like a powerlifting meet is a scary place. Like you're performing in front of people. It's a different environment. They have like stage lights glaring at you when you're lifting. It's such a new environment. Why add another huge layer?
Yeah.
Right?
It's another anxiety-inducing factor, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You were able to stay calm through all of your second meet. I'm a very anxious person, and if I had to do that, if I woke up 700 grams over, I would be going crazy.
Yeah.
Good on you.
And that's because I had the like crazy experience the meet before. So I was like, okay,
everything's gonna be all right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, good. All right. What about just teach me a little bit about powerlifting in Korea. Is it can you train at a lot of gyms in Korea where you're able to perform like powerlifting movements, or are there a lot of gyms like that? No.
If you really are a powerlifter and are lifting weights, if you go to any commercial gym, everything's a bit of a mystery. Like, is this actually 20 kilos? Is this bar even 20 kilos? Like, it's very like, and there's like the barbells there, like have almost no knurling. Like it's very bad if you are a lifter and you just go into a commercial gym. And a lot of the commercial gyms also don't let you deadlift from the ground.
Right. Okay.
Everything's a bit of a rack pull. Or like a lot of yoga mats.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then if you slam the weights, they'll kick you out. Yeah. So it's very strict.
Do they have like a time limit on the machine that you can use, or is it not like that?
I don't think there's a time limit, but there's definitely a small number of racks available. So like you'll get the looks if you're occupying it.
Right.
Long. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if you're a woman occupying it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the gym that you train at, are those, is that like almost the only powerlifting gym in Korea, or how many are there on the top of your head?
A bit of a history. I mean, I guess there were ever since. I think Traintrue was definitely the official first powerlifting gym in Korea.
Okay.
Because a lot of the gyms before Traintrue definitely had really good equipment, like for powerlifting, weightlifting, CrossFit, but it was never just powerlifting.
Right.
Yeah. So it was like more for barbell sports in general. But the founder, Mako, he's a very passionate CEO who loves powerlifting. He's an amazing bench presser. And yeah, he just like made this specialty gym. And it was definitely the first one. And now a lot of people are starting to follow. So this year, actually, like in the span of 6 months, I think, like within the greater Seoul area, there are definitely more powerlifting only gyms opening up.
Right.
Despite COVID. Yeah.
So it's very promising that powerlifting would be growing in Korea.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely grown so much. And I think a lot of that actually has to do with the Instagram community.
Right.
Like, I don't know, something about Instagram and powerlifting, man. Like it's almost like symbiotic.
Yeah.
But
It wouldn't work on any other social media platforms, right?
yeah. So like because it's such a niche sport here, I think people definitely use that platform to connect with other lifters within Korea. Yeah.
Right. It's also very aesthetic too, and I was colorful plates and girls like lifting crazy amount of weight. It's definitely Insta worthy kind of look for sure.
Yeah.
Your dream gym Traintrue is, I don't know, what sort of people go there? Are they beginner lifters or more of like they've already done powerlifting for a while and then they're just looking for a place to train, or?
It's definitely changed over the years. Like when it first opened, it was like the place where the strongest people went. Like only strong people can go. And I think the image the gym still has is still very like if you talk to like a normal guy who knows the gym but doesn't train there, he'll be like, oh, I can't go there, I'm not strong enough. Like it has that like wall, like imaginary wall of like you need to have like at least a 500 kg total in order to go in. But in reality, actually, when you come here, it's a whole variety of people. And in the recent months, I think definitely more women through Strongirls and the program that I'm running.
Yeah.
When I first joined Traintrue, when it first opened, I and this one other woman were the only females.
Right.
Like us two were the only females there, and then it was like all very burly, like men, very strong. But now, like so many beginner lifters are there. Yeah.
So there's something that women see through you lifting, and then obviously them being motivated. What do you think that is? Like the reason of why they're motivated? Like the what is it that they see that from you, on Instagram or whatever, that they makes them want to feel like, oh, like shit, I want to do it too.
Oh man, because this is a very like self-reflecting question. I think it's multifaceted, like that question. I think every woman has this desire to get strong, and a lot of the women that come to me are very skinny women, very small, skinny, and they come to me and they're like, I want to be strong, and like I want to become bigger. Like they're so used to being so weak and so small, and I think that translates to how they portray themselves like in society as well.
Right.
And I think through powerlifting, we're constantly telling you like you're gonna get stronger, you're gonna get bigger, and that somehow naturally translates into like how they act in social situations. And I like with the girls that I'm teaching for months now, I see their personality change and like I see their personality open up.
Right.
And I think that's like one of the most rewarding things. Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
they want to be like the stronger, bigger, better version of themselves. Not even just physically, just also with every aspect, like mentally and everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, I'm kind of jumping to your other question.
Go ahead.
Because you asked me like any ideas on how I can get more women in the sport in Japan or in Asia, right? And this is actually the question that I kept asking myself when I first came here. Because I wanted more women to experience what I experienced.
Yeah.
Right? That's such a great thing. And I think what you're doing right now is also great. But because there's the stigma against powerlifting that like, or lifting any sort of heavy objects will make a woman bulky, or that it's only for elite athletes or like bigger and naturally strong women. Because of that stereotype, people think normal women can't be lifting weight, right? So I think one of the social media strategies that I wanted to use is I wanted to look as approachable,
Right.
normal, I'm just like you kind of approach. And also like making sure that I maintain a figure that they will want.
Right.
It's almost playing the Instagram game like to my advantage in order to help more people. So
like those two things that you said, like you want to maintain a body that they would want, plus you want them to kind of feel safe that you're just like them. I think those two factors are kind of like counterintuitive in a way. How do you try to portray on Instagram that you're just like them? What are some of is it the words that you use, or is it like the maybe you upload like fail sets where you can tell everybody fails, like some strategies like that?
Like that's definitely part of that. Through my social media, like I don't just try to post my PRs or post this like beastly side of me. Like I post my mom all the time on my stories, and I post I talk about my feelings in my captions a lot. And I know a lot of people don't like reading long captions, but I started to notice that a lot of the women engage in that sort of content. And they can relate to like, for example, when you have your period, like squats feel like absolute horseshit, like squats are the worst when you're on your period. Just talking about like openly talking about like the bad days, the good days. When I'm not feeling mentally strong, I'll talk about it. And I think it's just showing that like I'm also on that journey. I may be ahead compared to like the girls that are just starting out, but like we're all on a journey. Like you don't just like get to the pinnacle and stop there.
And that's definitely one of the reasons why I love about your Instagram too. But how did you get that kind of mentality happening for you? Because I know that at least for me, I would see a lot of like influencers on Instagram and feel that you only need to post like perfect photos, with like 3-word captions, and it's not very common that people would post what you post, like long captions about your feelings and stuff like that. Was that something that you developed by yourself, or were you affected by other people? Like you saw other people do it and then felt like, oh, maybe I should do that too?
It's both, right? Like I do have like influencers that I want to be like their social media strategy. But I like if you scroll back way before, like I should probably get clean up some stuff. But I started like my history of Instagram, I think I started out as an Instagram thought. Like
I actually went through all your last ones, and I was like, what? It was only like a few, or like almost a year and a half ago, right? Until you started posting like lifting videos. I'm like, whoa, this is new.
Exactly. So like I was one of those people who posted picture perfect content, 3-word Instagram captions with an emoji. That was me. But when I started changing through lifting and through the sport of powerlifting, I knew this is something that I wanted to share with other women. And now the question became, okay, like how do I reach more women? How do I relate to them? Not just some creepy men on Instagram from like India or like everywhere. So like I don't care if I get like 500, 600 likes from old men. Like I want to be able to really speak to these women who used to be in the spot where I was before I started lifting. So yeah, I think ever since I started asking myself that question, my content started changing.
Right. Wow. And the following, did that happen when you made your transition from like that Instagram body photos to like, did it increase when
body
it came?
photos work in terms of
I'm sure.
they work. So you still gotta like mix in some, you know, like even
Booty
now,
selfies. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's gotta go in there, but it's about having the right balance.
Yeah. No, for sure, definitely. No, I really do enjoy your content. And going back to the stereotypes, I think like as you said, there are almost like two factors involved. One is like the overachieving mentality of a lot of like Asians. Of like, if I'm not good enough, then I can't compete. Maybe that stops them from, you know, trying to compete in the sport. Plus, and that I think like body image, as you described it earlier, you said women have like this urge to become like bigger and a little bit more stronger. But I also feel that being quote unquote weak or like skinny is like fashion in Japan, at least anyways. So that's a very hard to to overcome. Like isn't it like that in Korea as well? Like isn't it like a fashion or like a trend?
How do I'm trying to give you like the most comprehensive view. I think it is still fashion to be skinny, but the wording's changing a little bit. Like, it's still the same skinny woman saying, "Oh, be stronger. You need to lift weights," and then they'll be like holding like 2 kg dumbbells. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The wording's changing slightly, but it's actually promoting the same thing where you need to starve yourself and you need to work out to be small.
Right. Okay. So
it's advanced a little bit.
Right. So it's more of like fit. I don't know, tone.
Yeah. Like Instagram fitness, you know, like get abs and like, you know, have toned muscles.
Right.
But now it's not much of the like stick skinny is not good.
Yeah.
But then like you'll now see like slightly bigger woman, but still very thin, like in our standards, I think.
Right.
Still very thin. And they'll be telling you, you know, like eat this product or like have this like meal plan and then like you'll be like me. But then she's just like the same like tanned version of the really realistic skinny.
Right. So
It's like a very slight change.
yeah, so the idea of quote unquote skinny itself might be changing a little bit over time.
Yeah, for sure. It's more nuanced now.
Do you think that was influenced by social media as well? From
Yeah,
other,
for
you know, like American lifting culture or?
Yeah, I think Asia in terms of fitness is always like 5 years behind with trends.
Yeah.
So like powerlifting's finally now picking up here, like it's just starting out. So like whatever happens in the States or like in the West, it will soon happen here. And I think in terms of Asian countries like Singapore and Hong Kong, they tend to be more forward because they're naturally like English speaking.
Right.
And then you'll have like Korea and Japan follow probably a bit later, right?
I think it's like really difficult too for, you know, Korean and Japanese people to catch up to because we have a completely different body composition too, like compared to, for example, like Latina women, you know, curvy, whereas we are more petite, like we're tiny, we're skinny, you know, like it is it's a lot we have a lot to catch up on, but
I know.
slowly getting there.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about can we talk about men a little bit, about men in Japan?
Mm-hmm.
There's like this trend also about, we call it 草食系男子, and it's like passive men that are feminine is becoming very trendy in Japan. So pretty men or like idol looking men.
Oh yeah.
And
like the K-pop.
yeah. And you know, there's like this thing called hosomacho where it's like macho means like built, right? But hoso means skinny. So it's like skinny muscular.
Yeah, I know,
But it's
I
like,
know.
okay, 6-pack abs, but you only have 6-pack because you're skinny.
Yeah.
And it's like that whole wave is coming through. But at the same time, there are like, what is like the
Jay Park
what?
body. You know Jay Park, the Korean rapper?
Oh,
No.
I don't. Hold on.
He has that sort of body. But yeah, for sure in Korea that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Is that same as well, or what is the?
Yeah, that's been a thing for quite some time. All the
Okay.
powerlifter men here are just waiting for the, you know, dad bod wave to happen. I don't think that's gonna happen yet.
But everyone wants to be building like muscle and becoming bigger, like in men, like with men as well in Korea.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's just the degree is a bit not as much compared to the West. Like, you know, like their idea of muscular is different
Right.
from muscular men in Australia, you know. Yeah.
But it's slowly changing over time. All right. So, you know, making powerlifting a thing in Japan as well, that's also my goal. And I really admire the things that you're doing. And I want to take some tips away from you. And you already gave me a few things, you know, like trying to look approachable to a lot of your followers and, you know, also trying to build a body that other people would want. What are some other things that maybe I am able to do to promote powerlifting in an Asian country? Like you have a platform for women.
So I ended up starting a platform through Instagram called Strongirls. It was actually an Instagram only platform where I started reposting Korean women who lift because it's so rare.
Right.
Yeah, so I just, you know, like I would stalk all the women who lived around Korea, like whether they be, you know, weightlifting, doing CrossFit, doing powerlifting, any sort of barbell movement. I just started reposting them, like writing a nice caption about them. And that's how I first grew the following for Strong Girls.
Okay.
And the account was meant to be like just a celebration of strong women in Korea. And I think maybe that's something that you could even do in Japan as well. Like
Yeah, I'm
just
thinking
like getting that following. And then I through the account, I started hosting Friday night barbell clubs. So it was just more of an invitation for girls who lived in the area to like just come and live together.
Right.
And it's very casual and got a lot of traction. But I've noticed that like 90% of the girls were actually girls that are interested in the sport, but like they actually have never lifted before. So
Wow, there are people like
I
that.
knew, yeah, that's when I knew like there's a demand for it, and there are no one teaching them. And like these barbell club sessions, like I wasn't even a coach back then, but I ended up like spending 2 hours teaching these girls, and I was like, wait, like I'm loving this. Like I love helping these women. Like maybe this is something that I could do, like bringing value to these girls, but also like make a living, right?
Yeah.
That's when I was had still quit my job, and I was still just lifting
Yeah.
all day. So I was like, I want to do this, and that's when I started transitioning the Strongirls account into more of a business. Yeah.
Right. And it's like just because you're not like a renowned like coach,
Yeah.
but for girls that have never lifted before, like you know so much, right? Like compared to the girls when you teach them. That's
Exactly.
it's only something that you can realize while you do something like that, I think.
Exactly. I've been in their shoes before.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because I also posted a story a few days ago that I reposted an event that is happening in Tokyo in May, and it said, powerlifting girls, if you have any questions about anything about powerlifting, then make sure you hit me a message. Like, don't feel free to do that. And Japanese girls are super shy, so they usually don't want to reach out. And I didn't think anyone would be reaching out, but I got a lot of messages that are like, how do I train? Or like very broad questions that I didn't even know how I could write paragraphs, I was like, how do I train for powerlifting? I'm like, okay, so what do you do? And yeah. But there are a lot of girls who are wanting help and they don't know where to go to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the women they come to me also knowing that there's a woman teaching them.
Right.
A lot of women really want that female touch. Yeah.
It's different to men teaching.
Some girls will prefer men teaching them, but I noticed that especially with powerlifting, where it's like a very male sport in their eyes, they would want someone who is also a female teaching them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also probably feel really safe that you're an approachable, nice and welcoming and things like that. So that definitely does help.
Also, when you go into a lifting gym, especially our gym, you see so many people lifting big weights, fronting. They might be nice people, but we're all very aggressive underneath the bar, right?
Yeah.
They walk in and they're like, shit,
yeah.
I even stretch, and I'm like, I just stretch anywhere, it's fine. And they all tell me after 2 or 3 months that they were so intimidated by just the environment itself.
Right.
I think it's really important to have that figure to just guide them for a couple of weeks, and then they're fine on their own. Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely great strategy too. And do the girls that you teach, are they all competitors or recreational
right
lifters?
Now, they want to compete, but there are no competitions.
But it's good they want to compete, right? That's amazing.
So they're all beginners. A lot of them just actually started lifting through me. So I think probably in the summer, I'm gonna start having them compete, if there is a competition. or even they'll mock me. So
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. You're like the pioneer of Korean female powerlifting. I really want to be like that too. I really want to do that. For sure.
no, seriously, like I'd love to help in any way. Like outside of this podcast, if you have any questions about how to grow that community,
Yeah.
like I would love to help.
Yeah, it is definitely something that I really want to do for sure. Yeah. What about in the future? Where do you see Strong Girls heading?
So right now I'm gonna continue the beginner program where I guide them through the basics of powerlifting, but given the fact that I'm an English speaker and nowadays, like, we live in such a globalized world, I do want to increase that influence to like the rest of the world,
Right.
especially across Asia. So I want to be like hosting seminars or like hosting like online coaching programs for women in Asia as well. So that's like my like long-term bigger goal.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, so but for now I'll be grinding like in Seoul
Right.
and helping more women here, and also just like getting the word out there that like you can still be a woman, a normal woman who has a normal 9 to 5 job and like be a beast at the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like spreading that message one woman by one woman. And I think it also really helps that they're all very active on social media as well.
Right.
And ever since, even if the ones that don't have social media, they end up creating a lifting account.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they're actually showing more friends around them that like they're changing, and it's like this effect where like they're influencing their own circles.
Right.
Yeah.
And social media is such a good tool because of that too. Everybody can just share. Everyone
Yeah.
wants to share. Yeah, and it's so new. Like Asian women lifting, it's very. I feel like that's very new thing as well. You don't see that, until recently, especially in Korea. I was looking the first time I came across. It's very hard to remember the names of Korean girls, but I'm seeing like this girl, and she's like really fit, and she doesn't look like she lifts, but she lifts like way more than me, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't see Asian women a lot, so yeah, that as well. And also just going back a little bit about coaching, lifting is like a very like time consuming and energy consuming thing as well.
Yeah.
And for a lot of like females, starting out is very hard. Like you go into a few sessions and then you're like, oh, I don't want to go again. Like how do you avoid women doing that?
Motivated.
Yeah, like what kind of like, is it the words that you use, or do you give them like workouts that is like very easy at first, or are there any like strategies with that?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think one of the key factors that help them stay motivated is because we work as a group. So like I do one-on-one sessions with them also, just because technique wise, like you need to really focus on one person. But we have weekly group sessions where like we're all just training together at the same time. And it's not run as a group class, but they just train together.
Right.
And I think over time, like they build that like rapport, and they're just like setting up gym dates. Like they're best friends before you know it.
Right.
And I think that's what keeps them motivated. And in terms of coaching style, I definitely give them a lot of compliments.
Right.
And they're not lies. Like if you did better than your last set, I'll tell you. But I think I really try to like give that sense of like affirmation. Yeah.
And making it fun, right? It should be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the easy things is that, like, beginners every week is a PR.
Yeah.
Like, every single, like,
I wish I could go back to that.
I know. Every week, like 5 kilo PR on your squat. Like, wow. Like, so that keeps them motivated as well.
Definitely. And I think it's very smart, like how you create that group kind of connection. Like they feel like they have more of like connection with other females that have the same like story as you. That definitely helps with.
Yeah.
What about your motivation? What is your motivation going into the gym every day? I mean, you probably don't really need motivation, but you have some days where you're like, oh, I don't really want to go, or like, oh, I don't know if this sport is for me. I have that feeling sometimes. Is there something that you tell yourself?
My motivations changed over time. I think before I started coaching girls, it was more of like, I need to be the very best or nothing, like a very Asian mentality of like, okay, like I have this like numerical goal for the end of the year, I need to reach it. So I'm very checklist oriented person.
Right.
So like I have everything into a checklist, and if I don't tick that checklist, it really annoys me. So I used to see numerical goals as one of the checklists, and I think was actually very not good. Like it was not a good mindset.
Right.
I was not process oriented. I was goal oriented, very numbers driven, and that's actually how I ended up injuring myself last year.
Right.
I was not squatting for like 3 months.
That must have been very tough mentally.
Yes. Also, like while teaching girls how to squat when I couldn't squat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was like very mentally draining, I think. But after that injury, I was like, wait, I can't, like, I'm not doing this to like reach a numerical goal. Like I'm doing this because I love it, and I need to enjoy the process. So, like my mindset started changing ever since that injury, and I'm actually very grateful for that injury because it's taught me a lot.
Right.
And also now when I'm coaching girls, my motivation for my training also is to all the things that I tell my girls, you gotta focus on your recovery, like you gotta like give it all, like when you're going into your top sets, like when you're going into your training, you gotta have that sense of focus, like all of those things that I tell my girls. I tell myself, and I'm thinking, if I'm not doing that for myself, I shouldn't be telling these girls.
Right.
I think, like, I have that sense of responsibility now to be a good athlete, so that I can be a good role model.
Right. So you really believe in that, in what you say to these girls, and
So like I, whatever I say to them, I want to make sure I'm doing that for myself as well. So like just wanting to be a good role model for them is like the biggest motivation for me.
Right. No, it's almost like for your values as well as for other people too, which is like double the motivation almost. And I think it's like it's really important, like the change in values that you just spoke about, because it's very unrealistic that you're going to be hitting PRs all the time, especially when you continue to lift for like more than a year, more than 2 years. PRs are going to be it's going to be happening a lot less, and if you chase for that, then you're definitely going to be disappointed. So I think it's very important, like the change in values there. Yeah. And
for sure.
Yeah, I learned that through my injury too. So yeah, very humbling. But it is a very, I did my back doing sumo deadlifts. I did it twice, the same thing. So.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm a very very anxious and I'm really hard on myself and I overthink a lot. So injuries like that are always like
The worst.
Yeah, it's the worst, you know.
But it is humbling and it
Yeah.
helps you self-reflect. think.
Definitely. Yeah, and I can talk about it now, you know? Like I can understand what people who's gone through injuries, like I can relate to them. So
Yeah.
it's an important
I used to think I was invincible. But then it was just like, actually.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I think we're coming up on time. Where can we reach you?
You can reach me mainly through my Instagram. It's at Esther Flower Bay, and let me just explain that just so that like people don't think I'm like some weird hipster flower bay. My Korean name directly translates to flower, and my last name is Bay, so it's actually like literally my Korean name and English name combined.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Do you explain that to people all the time?
Yes, I always have to do this disclaimer because like people follow me and they're like, why is she a flower bay? You know, like she thinks she is, you know? But yeah, that's my real name.
Okay.
So that's that. You can also follow the Strongirls account. Strongirls with 1G, period official.
Okay, on Instagram, that is. Okie dokie. I will be linking those accounts on the description of this podcast. So I think that's about it. Thank you so much for making the time to be on the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah.